I hit him. I knew I would, the second he opened his mouth. Greg sat at the far end of the table, hands folded loosely in front of him. The conference room buzzed with a low mechanical hum from the overhead lights, a sound just low enough to remind him how still everything else was. Across from him, the HR manager waited without moving. Beside her, the union rep tapped the pen twice against her notebook, then caught herself and stopped. At the head of the table, Greg's boss stared at the tabletop with the vague intensity of a man trying not to think too much. The folder in front of the HR manager stayed closed. Greg shifted once in his chair, not from nerves, but from some mechanical urge to move, and spoke. "That's when I hit him," he said. "I'm not denying it. I know what I did." The HR manager tilted her head slightly. Not an invitation, not permission, just the next step. Greg inhaled once, feeling his chest like a man stepping onto ice, and let the story run. "I was handling the Linton Axis. Certified handler, full protocol. It slipped." The words came out heavier than he intended. The memory still felt sharp, lodged in his ribs like a splinter. Cracked clean through. He didn't need to say how much it was worth. No one in the room needed reminding. The union rep's pen made a soft, cautious scrape as she wrote something. The boss sat still. Greg pressed his palms flat against the table for a moment, as if steadying himself. Glenn came over. He said the name flatly, without heat. Didn't ask if I was hurt, didn't check the access. First thing out of his mouth was, "What have you done?" And then, "You even know what that thing costs? How are you planning to fix it? Duct tape?" Greg could still feel the words falling on him like dust. Light, irritating, hard to shake off. The HR manager didn't write anything. She simply watched him. Greg leant back an inch, more from gravity than intent. It would have been one thing if he'd stopped there. He let the silence stretch, unhurried. But he didn't. Greg could still see the way Glenn stood there, arms loose, voice casual, like there was no risk in it at all. "There's a reason some of us design and some of us lift, yeah? Guess now we know why you're not running projects. It's alright, not everyone's cut out for the smart stuff." The boss shifted in his seat, but Greg didn't look at him. He kept his eyes level. The HR manager cleared her throat quietly. "The witness statements align with your version," she said. Greg nodded once, slow. No one disputed what was said, only what came after. "How did it make you feel?" she asked. Her voice wasn't probing, it was simply moving the process forward. Greg thought about lying, about putting some polish on it, but he didn't. Like a man already bleeding and someone decided to kick him in the ribs. He flexed his fingers once, unseen under the table. "I wasn't proud when I dropped it. I wasn't proud when I hit him either. But I wasn't in the mood to be stripped bare by a man like that." Greg stared down at his hands for a moment, the words pooling quietly inside him. When he spoke again, it wasn't anger that filled the space. It was something colder. "What I still don't get," he said, "is why he thought there wouldn't be a reaction." The union rep stopped writing, like he'd forgotten what world he was living in. You don't shove a man when he's already falling and expect him to smile about it. The HR manager shifted in her chair, crossing one leg over the other. No one said anything. Greg leant forward slightly, elbows resting lightly on the table. "I'm not here to argue. I'm not saying I shouldn't face consequences." He let the words land carefully, one after the other. "I'm saying if I'm going down, Glenn comes with me. Because I don't punch Glenn if he doesn't say what he said." He sat back again, slow and controlled. He brought violence first. The only difference is, mine you could see. The boss let out a slow breath, almost inaudible. The union rep kept her eyes on the table. Greg wasn't finished. "Last month, my son kicked a football through the windshield of my car." He said it simply, without reaching for pity. 12 years old, playing footy out the front. He thought I was going to lose it. Greg let a faint smile touch his mouth and then vanish. I didn't. I sat him down. We talked about what happened, about what it meant, about what it cost. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. We talked about fixing things without tearing each other down. He met the HR manager's gaze, steady and unflinching. 24 hours ago, Glenn had the same chance. Greg shifted in his chair, a small, deliberate movement. And he chose to spit instead of sit. No one spoke. No one moved. The HR manager reached forward and closed the folder with a soft, heavy click. Greg shifted his chair back half an inch. Not to stand, not to retreat, just bracing. The clock on the wall ticked once, then again. The sound filled the room like slow water. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to share it with someone who might like it too. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more content like this. Check out my other videos if you've got a few minutes to spare.